It's okay, well, how do you get to own this property from tax sale? What's the timeline for ownership? Well, approximately it takes about 6 months to a year to finish the whole foreclosure process, approximately. And what's important is the first thing we do is we order a search. The search shows us all parties of interest, the owner of record, the mortgage holder, the any lien holder, the ground rent holder. In Baltimore City, a lot of ground rents. And what we do is we put all these people, what my office does, put all these people into a complaint and say, hey, if you don't come forward, you lose your interest. The court issues us summons, which we serve all these parties of interest. We send a notice by certified mail or private process. We also ask the sheriff to actually post a copy of my complaint on the property. We also publish a copy of the complaint 3 times a week, once a week for 3 times, three times once a week. And once we've done all that, we file what's called an affidavit of compliance, and essentially telling the court, hey, we've done everything we need to do. Now give us a decree. The court looks at what we've done and says, yes, you've done everything. Now here's the decree. And up until that time, what's important, up to the time the court signs a decree, any party of interest can say, hold on a second, don't take my property. Here's your principal back. Here is your 18% interest back in Baltimore City. Here are your expenses, and here are your legal fees as well. And now go away. You have to go away anytime up until the time the decree is signed by the judge. Any party of interest can do that. And you haven't finished your work though. Once that, nobody can redeem, but you have to get a deed from the city, and the city officials need to sign the deed, and you have to record that deed in the land records of Baltimore City, and that's when you actually acquire title. Also expenses. What does it cost? Well, on an average, the expenses, the title search, the filing fee, the private process fee, about $1,000 to $1,500. Then legal fees. You also pay legal fees. Legal fees, on an average, most attorneys charge between $1,500 and $3,000. They usually charge a fixed fee. This is very common in this industry, charge a fixed fee. So as a rule, overall, you're looking at $2,000 to $4,000, depending on the attorney you choose, etc. So that's the fees that it costs. So that should be factored into your overall decision to buy a tax lien. And one thing I can tell you, folks, is tax liens it's a powerful instrument for people that want to leverage their resources and actually acquire property. Small and medium-term investors have done very well over the years in tax sales, especially in a growing market like in Baltimore City or places similar to that. Now, what are the risks? Well, the main risk is that the county does not guarantee or make any representation of the condition of the property. So you would have to do some of your legwork and say, essentially do a drive-by at the minimum. Go to the front, see how the house looks. You probably can't get in because you don't own the house, as well as there may be people in the house. But you have to do a drive-by to make sure that whatever you're bidding on is worth what you're bidding on, what the amount you bid. And then also the other reason is that 2 years. The certificate's only good for 2 years. The other risk is that the certificate's only good for 2 years. So if you don't, May 12, 2008 is the tax lien. You have to have filed actually filed the complaint by May 12, 2010. 2 years. After 2 years, the certificate's no good and you lose your principal. Also, a lot of people say the tax sale is an illiquid investment. What do I mean by illiquid investment? Well, basically, your money is tied up. If you invested $10,000 in May 12, 2008 tax sale, well, you can't start foreclosures till November 12th, and then it takes about 6 to 12 months to actually finish a foreclosure. So you're looking at about your money's held up for 18 months. Well, essentially, it's not like the mutual fund that if you needed the cash right away, you can cash out the mutual fund and use a few pennies in interest. Your money's tied up, and there's no real active secondary market. Another risk people say is bankruptcy, but the most important thing I want you to know about bankruptcy is you do not lose your principal. You know, it may delay the foreclosure process, etc., and it delay you can't get the money, but you do not lose your principal itself. There are very few ways. I've been doing this for over 10 years. I have considerable experience in this, and there are very few ways for you to lose your principal in a tax sale situation itself. And what the bankruptcy we want to talk about the bankruptcy. It's above the scope of this small presentation, but I do want you to tell you that there is bankruptcy, but you do not lose your principal itself in bankruptcy itself. So again, once I say my phone number is area code 410-779-7040. I have a real estate practice. I invite you to call to ask for more questions, etc. Thank you very much for listening.